what made you decide to run for sheriff?
Well, I was pushed to move for sheriff, or I might restart that. I decided to run for sheriff because when I looked at all the candidates and I looked at what was happening in my community, I didn't really see any candidates that had the community's best interests in mind and that I believed were the best fit for the job.
Yeah, what's your background? Talk a little about yourself.
I have a background in film and IT. I'm currently enrolled in college, going to school for information technology, and that's about it. It's not a lot. I'm just full-time employed and going to college all the time.
Yeah, that's great. What do you think are the biggest issues facing the county?
Definitely. I think the biggest core issue that we're facing is trust with the public, especially between law enforcement, and not only law enforcement but the government itself. I believe that restoring that trust is going to be paramount to getting everything else fixed around here. We can't do anything without building back that trust that we've lost.
What would you do to restore the trust?
Absolutely. Trust is a very hard thing to gain, and it's really easy to lose, so it's a very big struggle. I want to open our department up to accountability and transparency, both financially and in terms of the actions of officers. I want to make information as easily flowing as possible between the Sheriff's Department and the public, whether that be our financial statements or officer reports or use of force reports. All of that, I think, is going to play a big role into building back that level of trust that we've lost.
Yeah. Awesome. What would you do differently compared to the current sheriff, and what do you think of the state of the current, sheriff's department?
Right now, we're in a state where our employment rate for deputies is really low. We don't have enough staffing to do the job effectively, and crime is going up, and our budget is ballooning. There's a lot that we can do to change that, and I think a lot of that's going to come from having a younger mindset and also somebody who doesn't have a background in law enforcement. What happens when we elect people who have been career law enforcement officers is we keep perpetuating these ideas and these normals that don't work, and we don't try new things that do, or at least have the potential to work. So we're stuck in this constant stage of just the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So I believe that that's what I'm bringing to the table is a different perspective.
Yeah. Let's see. One of the issues affecting people is fentanyl and other opioid. And talk about a little bit about that. How would you help sort of as much combat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing when it comes to any drug is why. Why are people doing it? Most people do drugs because they're not happy in their day-to-day life. If we tackle fentanyl, or we tackle marijuana, or we tackle cocaine, or all these other drugs, they're just going to move to something else. It's not getting to the core issue. We need to focus on why people are doing drugs. Fentanyl is a terrible drug that's killing a lot of people around our country, and it needs to be tackled. But is that going to solve the issue is the big question, and I don't believe it is, because we're not focusing on that. We're focusing on the small drug issue, not the overwhelming social issue around it.
Yeah. Talk a bit about the last candidate was Dan Wilson, or is it Dan Wilson we're talking?
Dan Wilson, I believe.
Yeah. We were talking with him, and he was talking about trying to be less of be a more impartial candidate, not because he felt like the current sheriff is very partisan.
He is.
Politics,
yes.
Especially.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I don't think that politics or partisanship needs to play a role in public safety. I don't believe it should, and I believe in being completely impartial. That's part of the reason I've elected to be a completely self-funded candidate, is I don't want any bias or any favoritism, even unconscious bias, with myself. I want to go in here treating everyone the same, and I plan to do that.
Awesome. Yeah, you're a great example of somebody that, I think if the sheriff's candidate position is open to anyone, basically. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you talked a little bit about why you are running, but I don't know if you have any more you want to say about
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just a candidate who loves this community, and I want the best for it, and I don't believe that our current sheriff or the other candidates are going to be able to do that effectively. And that's why I decided to run, is if you want change in your community, you have to be that change. And I believe that I'm pursuing that here. I just want the best for my community. I want a safe community, and I want this place to prosper.